Hey everyone, Joe here. Today I've got 3 simple backing vocal mixing tricks that I'm going to show you to help you to get more professional backing vocals and to help them sound more interesting and to stand out from the main vocal. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to give you an extra little bonus tip on what you should be doing when recording your backing vocals to help you get the most out of them. So here we are in a Pro Tools session, but whatever DAW you're using, these tips are going to be useful. You can see I've got a bunch of backing vocals here and a main vocal. I'm going to show you the 3 tricks and you'll be able to listen along and hear what difference they make. So first up, we've got time alignment. Now this is especially important if you're recording backing vocals that have the same rhythm to them as the main vocal line and the same lyrics, which is normally going to be the case. And it's even more important if you're recording multiple backing vocals. So you can see here, we've got this yellow one at the top, that's the main vocal. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 backing vocals. Now, if I get rid of these edits, you can see that I've made a few cuts and changes there. You'll see that they're not all ending at the same time. The main vocal's ending there. And then you've got this one, I've extended that last word, and this one I've shortened it. Now it's very difficult when you're recording vocals to get them lined up perfectly. I'm sure there are a lot of professionals that can do that, but I'm not one of them. But I'm going to show you what it sounds like when they're not time aligned. Then we're going to revert back and you'll hear what a huge difference it makes. So this is a cover that I recorded a little while ago. Let's have a listen. This is before I've time aligned them. Watermelon sugar high, tastes like straw. It just doesn't sound professional, and especially when you've got the rest of the music in as well, it can really take the punch away from your mix. So what I've done, I've just made a few cuts, and if you're using a good DAW, you should be able to do crossfades. So you can make a cut, bring it back in line with the main vocal, and then add a little crossfade. And if you have a listen now, you can't notice any clicks or pops where you've made the cut because you've got that crossfade in there. So now I've edited them all. Let's hear what it sounds like when they're all lined up at the end. Watermelon sugar high. Much tighter, and it will come in much more punchy when the next section of the song comes in. There may be cases where the vocals in your songs aren't supposed to line up, in which case obviously you wouldn't do this, but most of the time, especially when you're doing doubles and triples and like a sort of choir effect like this, you're going to want them lined up as best you can. And the second backing vocal mixing trick I want to show you today is using different effects on the backing vocals compared with the main vocal. It can help it to stand out, make it more interesting. You can do some really cool effects, especially as you move to different sections of the song. For example, verse 2, you can have something going on with the backing vocals that sort of makes it sound a little bit different from the first verse. So I've got a mix here to show you. I'm going to play it without the backing vocals first, just so you can hear what's going on. And then what I've done is I've duplicated this keep up to use as a backing vocal on another track. And I've added this ping pong analog delay. You can have a look here. I've used the Native Instruments replica ping pong delay. A little bit of saturation on there. And I've also cut high passed and low passed the backing vocal as well to give it this kind of telephone effect. So it really differentiates the tone of it from the main vocal and helps it to stand out. Let's have a listen. So it's just kind of ping-ponging there. It's quite subtle. You kind of have to listen to it, but it just moves the song forward. This is in the second verse, adds something a little bit interesting, and it helps it to really stand out from the main vocal. And the third backing vocal mixing trick is all about panning. Now, when you have a single vocal track and then a single backing vocal track next to it, often you might move the backing vocal slightly to the left or right to help it stand out. But we can do more interesting things with the panning than that, especially if you've got lots of backing vocals. So we're back in the session for that cover that we looked at the beginning. We've got our 7 backing vocals on top of the main vocal. Now, if these were all panned centrally, then you wouldn't really be able to differentiate between the different vocals very well. Now, you might have noticed that we don't actually have 7 backing vocals here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I've duplicated some of them. So if we remove the duplicates for a second, let's take a listen. Watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high. Now they sound pretty cool, but you can't really differentiate between the 5 different vocals. They're getting a little bit lost in the mix and they're just a bit boring. So what I've done, rather than just panning each of the 4 backing vocals randomly, what I've done is duplicated this one, the octave, and put a little delay on the duplicate. Now, if we pan those opposite each other now, one of them 100 to the left and 100 to the right, and listen with that delay on, watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar. It gives you this really wide stereo effect. You can hear the difference without the delay. Watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar. It just brings it right into the middle. Because it's a duplicate, you're listening to the exact same thing out the left and right, so your brain is perceiving it as in the middle. But yeah, when we get that delay on there, it widens them out. And then I've done the same with this one, but I brought those in a little bit to 70, left and right. So let's have a listen to those two. Watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high. So we've got those 2 backing vocals, one at 70, one at 100, making this kind of field. And then I've done the same with the next harmony. Again, bringing them in a little bit more, 51 each side. The exact location you can have a mess around with, but let's have a listen to all of those now. Watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high. And you can really differentiate them. You can tell that higher octave, that high, is much more central. Watermelon sugar high. You can hear the low octave very wide, and then there's an extra little one that I've added in. It's very high octave. Watermelon sugar high. It doesn't sound great on its own, but with the rest of it, it sounds really cool. And because it sounds so much different from the main vocal, I can leave that in the middle. Without them masking each other too much. Watermelon sugar high. So now when we've got all of these in, watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high, you got this really cool field of backing vocals, this kind of wall of sound, and you see the rest of the song has almost no backing vocals. In the verse, it's got none, and it sounds really cool when you get into this big chorus. It really boosts it up, which is a great production tip as well, to really give the chorus a little extra something to draw your listener into it. I'll leave a link in the description to the full mix of this song if you want to hear it in context. So those are the 3 backing vocal mixing tricks. Have a play around with those. See if you can get your backing vocals sounding really interesting and get them to stand out. I did say I was going to give you one little bonus tip about when it comes to recording backing vocals. So when I first started recording, I'd tend to record the main vocal line, then I'd record a backing vocal, and that would be that. And that's fine. Like some songs, especially sort of stripped back songs, that works for. But if you're recording something where you want a really big, rich sound, it doesn't normally cut it. And in a professional studio, it will rarely be the case that only sort of two tracks of vocals are recorded. And when I started seeing how more professional musicians do this, I started getting into that mentality, and now whenever I record my vocals, or even if I'm recording another band who are maybe just starting out, I'll suggest recording a few extra ones. So record an octave, a lower octave, record a higher octave if you can, record multiple takes, and even the main vocal track, you can record that twice, identical, and then it will give you a lot more room to experiment. You can get that nice kind of thick doubled vocals effect, like Foo Fighters, for example. And yeah, just extra little ad libs and things. Maybe you don't end up using them, in the mix, but it's really great to have that option there, and you can get some really cool effects out of it. So I hope this video has helped you with mixing your backing vocals, getting to stand out. Let me know in the comments section below, what do you do when you're recording backing vocals? Do you just record one? Do you record lots? Do you record some ad-libs? How do you do it? And if you have any questions at all, just leave them in the comments section as well. And if you want to see more mixing tips and tutorials like this, then hit that subscribe button, because we've got videos coming out every single week on the channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.